Just when you think you've got the Premier League sussed out, you think you know who the main movers and shakers are in the transfer market, who might go above and beyond expectations in the Premier League. A couple of quick transfers happen and really throw the cat in amongst the pigeons. João Palhinha left Fulham for big money to Bayern Munich, and really it's been quiet on the West London front for them until the last couple of days. They've snatched up Sander Berge and big sexy Kevin Nash, Joachim Andersen from Crystal Palace in a mega money move that really does push this Fulham team a little bit higher now in my expectations. And with us getting to the sharp point of the transfer window, Fulham being ready to rock perhaps with another couple of transfers to really reinforce their squad and get their hopes and ambitions in place for maybe trying to crack back into the top 10, maybe get back into the European spots as well. In the video today, we'll be looking at the impact of Joachim Andersen, Sander Berge, the other couple of pieces, Cuenca. How could I not mention Emile Smith-Rowe, of business that Fulham have already done in this window, and really how is it looking for them this season in the Premier League at any point in the video. If you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We just smashed through the 10k subs, and I thanks very much to all of you guys for supporting the content here on the channel. Get into the comment section in this one and let me know if you're a Fulham fan especially, where is the next area of improvement that is required. I'm always excited and interested to catch the contributions we get in the comment section, and you know, ones that come to pass, we feature them on the video as well. But yeah, let's get stuck straight into it. Because like I mentioned in the intro, this is the first time we're covering Fulham, so I had to go and have a look at the squad, exactly, you know, who's still on their books, you know, who have they brought in already this window, anyone maybe on their way out. And, you know, I was quite surprised to see the squad overall be this lean, to be honest with you. Like, when we look at so many other Premier League clubs, there's a huge focus and drive towards really having two to a position in all areas of the pitch, not just the key ones. Sander Berge, it does make the midfield look a little bit better balanced, it must be said. You know, having two guys in the engine room is back up here. I don't know much about this Harrison Reed fella, but anyway, it just looks a little bit neater now. The symmetry is there a bit more in midfield, you might say. But the attacking areas, the wide areas, and in defence is certainly where it's been needed. And, you know, Joachim Andersen for me is definitely a headline transfer. This is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League outside of the top 6 or 7 clubs or whatever, very, very easily. It actually reminds me quite a lot of the Issa Diop transfer. I was rather surprised they made that kind of lateral move. And I think that's kind of the same thing again for Joachim Andersen. But with the stature of him, with the transfer fee that's coming in, he's definitely coming in to be part of the best defence. And, you know, looking at this, Bassey for me isn't really quite Premier League level, but he has, you know, done not too bad for Fulham, it must be said, in spells. And I know he's had some calamities as well, don't get me wrong. Issa Diop, again, he's had one or two moments that he maybe wants to forget, but thinking about, you know, how good he is in general, how good he's been for Fulham, and how good he's been previously at West Ham, it feels like Andersen would be partner in Diop from where I'm sitting. But again, Fulham fans, feel free to correct me on this. And when you look at the defensive half of the squad here, look, Fulham have got one of the best outfits for playing out from the back, from building up play in possession and allowing their attackers a lot of freedom to pick different routes to go, expose different weaknesses or different space that's given depending on whatever the opposition is. And, you know, really the attention to detail for, you know, the way this is built, the kind of web that they've got for really getting the ball into Andy P, into Lukic, their main playmakers, so they can get the attack going with the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, Adama Traore, Harry Wilson, whoever it might be on the right, and Iwobi playing his best football really at Fulham alongside the likes of Muniz. And, you know, like, this just looks very, very good. Like, if the Premier League was like not as competitive, like this year it is so competitive, this Fulham team would be like serious contenders for like top 6 or 7, I think. But the strength of the league at the moment overall does mean that this level of depth is going to probably cause you problems at some point in the season. Now, Bassey's left-footed, Cuenca's left-footed. It's a bit of a mixed match, you know, and I know some managers do want to have left-footed centre-backs and all the rest of it, but I'm not too sure that that symmetry is really going to be a problem here, because with Bernd Leno being the goalkeeper, like, Bernd Leno for me is one of the best, like, on individual merit goalkeepers in the league. Like, if we had goalie wars in the Premier League, Leno's a semi-finalist for me. You know, he's a really good keeper, you know, and a better defence around him. Like, again, this could be a team that would challenge like top 5 or 6 quite comfortably in like the Bundesliga and Serie A. And La Liga would probably do quite well also. So there's just high levels of talent, both physically and technically, in defence and, you know, in the engine room here with Andy P and Lukic. they can really go up really well against a lot of different opposition. So I think this transfer of Andersen makes a huge level up to, really the outlook of how the team looks from the back here. We'll get to the front in a second. And Sander Berge just helps with that kind of symmetry of best 11 and second string kind of look a little bit more rounded. Fulham obviously don't have European football to worry about this season, so the main objective can be breaking into those spots this year, maybe going on a bit of a cup run depending on luck of the draw and that sort of thing. But with the amount of money that Fulham have probably got slushing around after the Palfinha transfer, and generally, I don't think Fulham, looking at the squad, I don't think it cost them a lot of money to construct, so I don't think Fulham are one of these clubs that are really confined and constricted by the sins of yester window, as it were. And really now looking at the attack, this area does just need like a proper top half Premier League upgrade or two to come in. And I think like Adama Traore and Harry Wilson, this is probably going to be the right hand side for the most part. So I think it's really over here on the left hand side with Iwobi is where you're maybe going to try and get someone that can be a bit different to him as well in terms of like the pace and the power you get from the wide areas on Iwobi and Adama is quite distinct for Fulham and is going to cause a lot of teams a lot of problems. But against different opposition, and if Iwobi was to, go off the boil, get injured, suspended, these types of things, you need someone else that can realistically come in. I don't think that's Sessegnon, to be honest with you. I don't think that, you never know. They could do something like playing ESR out here, Kearney through the middle, and then you maybe rely a bit more on the width that you're getting from the fullback, or fullbacks, depending on how you kind of then manipulate the rest of the shape or whatever. But it feels like this is a glaring area where you need some extra quality, you need some support, especially with Willian now being out the building. And as if almost by magic, as soon as I'd finished recording this, we had to come back and do a bit of a double take, because as I'm talking about this left wing being quite vacant in the absence of Willian and the need for Fulham to add a little bit of creative spark to help the likes of Andy P and Emile Smith-Rowe, they have been linked to signing forever Wonderkid Rayan Cherki. Now, Cherki has been threatening to break into European football for as long as time has began. It feels like since he was like 15 or 16 years of age. Now 21, a highly decorated France youth international. He has showed repeatedly extremely promising glimpses of top elite end talent. He has had some injury issues that have maybe held him back, but it feels like his time at Lyon is done. They're looking to cash in. PSG have closed the door. Leipzig haven't progressed any further, but Fulham could come in and snap him up for 12 million quid. Now, Cherki, I don't think would be coming into this team expecting to play every week, which is the perfect situation for him. He definitely needs to make that move out of France, try and grow into his own skin and take his game to the next level. And playing as an understudy in this Fulham attack lineup here, I think he'll only grow as the season goes out. And with the ability, with the talent that he has to take a man on a dribble as well as do the impossible, to do something really creative, you're going to see the better out of him come out further on in the season. And for the way Fulham might be shaping up and their aspirations that they might have this year, then having a ace up your sleeve, a player that comes into promise, comes into their own as the season develops, and by the time you get to the back end of the season is really firing on all cylinders and is a really worthwhile part of the squad becomes apparent. And at 12 million euros, it might not work out with Cherki. He definitely has that maverick kind of element to him where it might not all come together. His career might not hit the heights that we all expect it will. But this Fulham setup is really exciting. The project that's going on here with Silva definitely has a lot of promise. And he's the sort of guy that could just tip it over the top if this transfer was to work out. And again, Fulham aren't a team with any big airs or graces, and sometimes the worry you've got with a Cherki type is that they get Billy Big Boys. They think they're too big for their boots and they have that kind of superstar attitude. I don't think that's going to be allowed, that's going to be permitted. That kind of thing is even fostered here at Fulham. So I think this could be a match made in heaven. He's got great complementary players around side him, and there's not that burden of they would need him to work, they need him to be the best player in the team absolutely right away. If Fulham could get this done for 12 million quid, this would be a great prospect replacement for Willian. But if Fulham could unearth a Pedro Neto type, a Mitoma type, one of these types of players that comes into the Premier League for maybe not a lot of fanfare and a lot of hype, maybe the transfer fee is relatively modest because they're a high level, high talent player, but just really then comes into the club, becomes the talisman, becomes the maverick as it were, and really pushes the team up a level or two. We've seen it very well in spells back end of last year with Elise and Eze at Crystal Palace. And that is really just an attack here. What I think Fulham are really missing is Emile Smith-Rowe. He's not going to be Palmer. He's not going to be that sort of move. It's obviously the idea behind it, and I think he is going to do really well at Fulham being the main man playing every week. I think you're only going to see the best of him, and he seems like a really high-level player. Of course, you do need someone that can play with him in that regard, that can take a bit of that responsibility to, make something out of nothing. And yeah, that just really feels like the main area to upgrade here. Big Muniz is banging the goals in. Jimenez, when he's fit and available, is just as good. Maybe a bit non-peak since he left Fulham, obviously. And then this Stansfield guy's been getting minutes, so number 3 striker, whatever. But like seriously, looking at that back half of the team, like I don't think Fulham are going to concede as many goals as they used to for a start. And I think, you know, if Fulham are getting into these matches where they get lots of possession and they can get their fullbacks really high, they can then, with Diop, Andersen, Lukic, then allow the likes of Andy P and ESR to just roam around and pick up pockets of space. Like, they're going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams. Fulham have went from nowhere in my reckoning to right in amongst it now. I'll be doing my Premier League predictions for where I think people will finish and how the season will shape out after the transfer window, because it feels really redundant to me, to be honest with you, to do it before then. And Fulham are firmly now in the picture. Where do you think Fulham will finish this year in the Premier League? Where are they standing now? Where do they need to upgrade and improve further? But really interested to catch the contributions from you guys on screen now. Some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. The road to 20k is here. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one.